What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Bellwoods Brewery, and they are out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and this is their Jelly King, the Spicy Margarita variant. So they're calling this one a dry hopped sour ale with chili, lime, and the salt. It comes in a 5.6% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. This can is just over 2 months old. So I got another beer here from Bellwoods, and it's a new release within their Jelly King series. Now, over the years, I've reviewed a couple different Jelly King variants. I always have enjoyed the Jelly King series. Now, the base beer, when they first released it, that was just a dry hopped sour ale. I believe the hops they used to dry hop it were Citra, Amarillo, and Cascade. Over the years, though, they've done a bunch of different variants with like fruit additions and different adjuncts and whatnot. And again, this is the latest release, at least here in the US, that we have seen, or at least that I have seen. And they're going for a spicy margarita in dry hopped sour ale form. So the chili they're using in this is fresh habanero pepper. The lime is lime juice, and salt is just salt. They don't specify like sea salt, but I imagine it's something like that. So yeah, anyway, we're gonna crack it open and get it into the glass and see what we got going on here using the hashtag proper glassware. Not really, sent to me by a very good friend of mine, viewer of the channel, Derek. And I love this glass. Don't use it enough, but I think a beer like this, perfect time to break it out. So, spicy margarita, huh? I'm curious about this one. Most of the Jelly King variants I have had in the past, more like, just different fruit combinations. So, oh yeah, nice. Dirty Glass Mafia, not anymore. So we hold it up in the hashtag proper glassware, and I think that looks absolutely beautiful. It really does. Has this vibrant, like yellow-orange color, like bright, sunshiny look to it. I'll let you see it maybe a little bit better without the logo, but yeah, has a good murky kind of look to it. Almost looks like a hazy IPA of some sort. Had about a finger, just over a finger of a off-white, soap sudsy looking head. It's kind of dissipated a little bit. I'm sure maybe the oil from the pepper and everything's gonna maybe break this one down a little bit. But yeah, it's a little bit lighter too. It's not gonna probably come off on camera, but a little bit lighter towards the bottom of the glass. But I think as far as like a dry hop sour goes, it looks really, really nice. And I want to get a nose. Yeah, it's kind of wild. So it definitely has a margarita vibe to it. I wouldn't necessarily say especially and specifically margarita, but it has this zesty kind of lime nose. You pick up on the salinity, and then there's this underlying kind of like hot pepper note that you smell like it's probably gonna have a little bit of heat, but not crazy. But it has that like kind of earthiness you'd get from a pepper, like that earthy. Now with habaneros, usually it's more of a citrus kind of kick too. And I think that works hand in hand with what they're kind of going for here. It smells like it's probably going to be tart and not exactly sour. There's other citrus tasting notes. There's orange. There's a little bit of like a lemon too in addition to that lime. Yeah, it smells to me like, if I was doing this blind, I would definitely call up the pepper. It's noticeable. I would say this is kind of like a sour IPA with like some kind of pepper and definitely lime and salt. Maybe like I might even say in the nose it's like a goza, because the hop character here is kind of, and that's the thing about Jelly King, like the base Jelly King, you can tell with the hops. But the one reason I don't love dry hop sours or sour IPAs is that a lot of times if there's fruit additions in them or a bunch of adjuncts, that base kind of IPA vibe, that hoppy note kind of just gets basically demolished. And that's kind of what's happening here. I'm not really getting specifically outside of maybe that citrus, anything that's very noticeable from like a hop standpoint. It's all about the adjuncts in the base beer. There's a little bit of like a funkiness too. I'm sure this is kettle sour, but I have a little bit of funk to it. It smells really nice. I'm curious to see how hot this is, or if it's hot at all, and how well that like zesty lime salt margarita vibe comes through. I guess we'll find out. Cheers, everyone. Well, I'll be damned. It kind of tastes like a margarita. Now, I've never had a spicy margarita. I've had regular margaritas. I've had like strawberry margaritas. Never had a spicy one, although I think I would enjoy it. I will say, off of that first sip, the pepper really isn't hitting my palate with any kind of heat. It's just kind of the flavor of the pepper, which is slightly disappointing, but we'll see if it builds as I continue to take sips. Buying this one's like lower side of medium body. Very refreshing. Maybe a bit thin at 5.6, but I'm okay with that because this is a beer that's supposed to be refreshing, and the lighter body for me personally makes it refreshing. The mouthfeel is very effervescent. It's like moderately to like full on. I wouldn't say full on carbonation. We'll go higher side of moderate carbonation. It's spritzy on the palate. It's like lively. It's dancing on the tongue. It's a pretty smooth beer as a whole. You know, not soft, not creamy, but I didn't expect it to be. The taste, front to back, it gives me like I've had a lot of key lime pie, like Gozas and Berliner Weisses in my life. This kind of has the feeling of like a key lime Goza, like Westbrook's key lime Goza. But it's key lime pie, but without the pie, just like the key lime. It has like that tart into lower sour lime character, front to back. And then there's an underlying salinity that's with you. It's omnipresent, not over the top, but definitely noticeable. So it definitely gives me Goza vibes, more so than a dry hop sour ale. There's a little bit of like this weedy kind of sensation I would get from like a Berliner Weiss. Probably the malt. The one thing I notice is about halfway through the palate, I get hit with the habanero. And the habanero is like, it just has like a generic kind of pepper taste. I couldn't specify as habanero if I was doing this blind. I would just say, oh, it has like a pepper. There's a little bit of like, the sensation of it wants to be hot. Like it wants to give you a spiciness, but it just doesn't achieve that. Now, probably because they don't want this to be super, they want this to be super approachable to everybody. So they don't want that to be too overboard with the peppers, and I get that. But for me personally, someone who likes hot food, I always say, like, I kind of, when it comes to habaneros, that's kind of like the furthest I want to go. Once you start getting past habaneros for both peppers, but then like hot sauces and stuff, a lot of times just too hot for me. So I would like even a little bit more of a spicy kick to this one. There's really a lot of times with habanero too, I'll get it like in the back of the throat. It'll start being real spicy. Nothing like that's happened. I've taken like 4 or 5 sips. Pour the rest of this in. 5.6%. You can tell it's a beer, but you can't really taste the alcohol, which is nice. I will say I'm both happy and disappointed with this one. Happy because the margarita vibe to this is definitely here. You get the lime, you get the salt. It kind of has that, generic kind of margarita flair to it. The spiciness, though, with chili being the first ingredient and then them calling it spicy margarita, I'm not really getting that. I mean, I'm not getting any kind of heat with it for the most part. It just has. All right, after that, maybe all the goodies were at the bottom where the heat was because I just took a sip, and now it's a little bit, like there's a little bit of a feeling of something, but not much. I will say this, if you can't handle heat and you see this, you're like, oh, I don't want anything to do with that, but you like margaritas, I think you could easily drink this. It's just, it doesn't have a ton of heat to it, which is okay, but I picked it up because it says spicy margarita, has habaneros in it, so I was kind of looking forward to that. It's a tasty beer, though. It's enjoyable. I dig it. It's not one of my favorite Jelly King variants, but it's pretty well done. What I love about it, too, is it's not really sweet at all. This is like one of those more firmly dry kind of dry hop sours, or firmly dry, just like sours in general, where there's not a lot of sweetness. There isn't a lot of bitterness, but it's very dry. It makes me want to go back for another sip, which I will. So I think this is a fun beer. It's enjoyable. I dig it. It's just missing the mark a little bit for what I'm kind of wanting out of this beer specifically. Just, it is what it is. But I'm still going to give it a nice score because I do dig it. I'm going to drink the rest of that. I just kind of hope by the end of the glass, like maybe the habaneros kick in, or maybe I misread it, or maybe they changed it from habanero to something else. But what I read was habanero, so maybe it's not habaneros anymore. But it kind of has that like habanero like taste without any spiciness. Anyway, Jelly King, the spicy margarita variant. I'm going to give this a high 4 out of 5 and go 4.1. I think that's a fair score. If this was spicy, this would easily be into the 4.25 range, maybe even a high 4.25. It just doesn't have enough of that spicy kick that I'm kind of looking for. And if you're a chili head, you're not going to get anything out of this. I'm barely getting anything out of this, and I'm not really a chili head, but I do enjoy hot sauces and hot peppers in general. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. It just misses the mark a little bit, but it's in the hashtag proper glassware, so it's an amazing beer. Now, anyway, price point on this one, $6 a can, where I grabbed it here in the Western New York area. And I was curious to know what they pay in Ontario. So I went to the LCBO website, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, and they actually listed this as a single for 650 Canadian a can. So they pay 650 Canadian a can, and if you do the if you convert it to USD, it's about 475 a can. So the fact that I didn't have to go up to Canada and I can just pick this up locally, and I paid an extra $1.25 USD for a can, I'm absolutely fine with that. They actually pay for it more in Canadian dollars than we do here in American dollars for it. So I probably would never buy this again at $6 a can, just because, again, it's a little bit lacking with us. Put it this way, if that habanero hit, I might rebuy this at some point just to enjoy it for what it is. But I was hoping for a spicy margarita, and what I got is kind of just a margarita with a little bit of like a pepper flair. But it is what it is. So if you've had this one before, availability. I did the price, forgot the availability. Don't know. We get them here in New York State. I did see recently a good friend of mine and fellow beer tuber Josh over at Last Beer. He was reviewing, it was an IPA, I forget the name of it, like Purple Paisley or something like that. I think that's what it was. I don't know. I think that's what it was. And he's in Virginia, and his local bottle shop got some cans. So I don't know how far they make it here in the U.S., but if you're in Canada, you can find Bellwoods stuff. If you're in Ontario, you can, I think, order right from the brewery. They deliver to your house, or you can buy it at the LCBO. But here in New York State, we're getting more distro from them, and I'm all about it. I need to pick up some of their IPAs, and maybe if they bust out some of their big barrel-aged beers, I'll have to grab them as well. Anyway, if you've had this beer before or anything from Bellwoods, whether it's the Jelly King series or something else, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this. Like I said, 5.6%. Really can't tell. I'm going to drink the rest of this and just hope by the end I get a little bit of heat. Just a little bit. Don't need a lot. Just a little bit. Cheers.